Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Another pound of ground beef down, actually a pound and a half today. Quite hungry myself, and we got a few things to talk about as today's going to be a pretty damn important daily total close. We got the 2-day, 3-day, and daily all closing at the same time in about 1 hour and 13 minutes from now. So I wanted to record this video because I actually do believe that it's possible that we do see a little bit of a potential trade idea kind of extrapolate right before the actual daily close. So I wanted to keep this open, and if we actually do see that formulate, then I'd like to actually take advantage of that. But for right now, this is going to be obviously a recorded video, not a live uploaded video. I am working on a solution, however, to get to be able to show trades once again while live. But for now, unfortunately, this is the way that has to be done. So with that said, I think it's time to get in the charts. So let's initiate that good old teleportation, and let's get deep and down and dirty in this guy. Initiate that baby right there. There it is, and Bitcoin on the daily on good old Finex. And the bigger picture is this, still very much one mass symmetrical triangle. Apex on this triangle coming in all the way around early October, which implies resolution extremely likely somewhere around this point early to mid September. And as far as the greater picture goes, this kind of suggests that we probably hold within this region, within this formation, until around then. Now, of course, when we're talking about that, we're only talking about statistics. Just means it's more likely to happen, but at the end of the day, statistics are statistics, right? It can certainly break before then, just a little bit less likely to. Although the way that it's kind of acting right now with the way that we've been putting in all these lows along this cyan 89 exponential moving average, I do think that it kind of wants to chug along just a little bit longer. Never underestimate how long something can just go sideways. So again, I always like to repeat this. I know it's boring, but it is important. There's a lot, everyone and their mother on YouTube want to talk about the big breakout and the big breakdown. Everyone's title is like Bitcoin to 16,000 question mark exclamation point, or Bitcoin down to 6,000 or 7,000 question mark exclamation point. But no one's like Bitcoin sideways as fuck exclamation mark. And that's what we've been doing for the past couple months. I mean, that's really all it is. So again, just for, from a trader's perspective, really have to dial it back and be realistic here. We're looking at likely more sideways as far as the bigger picture goes, but that does mean that the lower time frames are actually a little bit exciting here, and especially when we do have the daily 2-day and 3-day all closing today, and again in the next hour and now 11 minutes, as time is just flying by. And I really do want to make an effort to make this video around 20 minutes, see if I can do it. I'm putting on the clock right now. 20 minutes from now should take me towards 6:10. Okay, I think I'm gonna give it a go. Anyways, so let's look at these time frames, right? So daily, of course, just having another wick off the 89 exponential moving average, and so far we are creating what appears to be potentially another higher low, although this is unconfirmed as of right now. So to be very, very deliberately clear, we do not have that in stone just yet, but it's still on the menu of possibilities. And in fact, with the way that we're kind of creating what you would call a hammer dildo right here, typically those do's turn into reversals, although you don't want to see that on a major pivot as well as major volume kind of accompanying that to kind of confirm that. But more importantly, we just need to see follow through on top of it. So in its current posturing, that would be more or less kind of what we're looking at. But more importantly, let's go over to the 2-day and 3-day, which is going to be closing tonight, and start off with the 2-day. The 2-day is looking very sick right here, actually. Yes, we did have another move down to that green 50 exponential moving average and wicked off of it okay, but the way that I kind of read this, assuming that we do close anywhere below the yellow 20 exponential moving average, that is a clear and obvious rejection of it. Now, what does that mean for the greater picture? Well, let's kind of look at our let's look at our momentum oscillators, and we do see 2-day RS actually getting rejected by the exponential not so long ago. Let me just make sure that I'm actually not dropping any frames. I'm also recording as well, so that's good. Happy about that. Let me just make sure that the audio is okay. Okay, great. All right, there we go. Anyways, 2-day RSI. Some people will tell you that it's quite bearish. I would say that it's more neutral than anything. If we do take a little bit lower, though, I will start to consider it bearish. But I'm not really getting too much useful information off this 2-day little time frame that I didn't already get off the daily, right? And the daily is more or less straightforward here. We see daily Stokes actually looking like the one across the downside, although a weak one, and it is not confirmed right now. But if we do close, I would imagine anywhere here or lower in the next hour and 9 minutes now, as time's flying even faster, then we actually be looking from that to the downside, which, whenever you get kind of like a fast snake like this, just kind of like weaving in and out, typically it will result in continuation of the former, which in this side would be the downside. But we don't but again, we don't have that confirmed just yet. We also see daily RSI kind of working its way back into the bearish control zone. But the question is what, are we going to set in? Would this be considered bullish divergence? No, it wouldn't be considered bullish divergence. We're not making lower lows or anything like that. So yeah, if we do start to get comfortable within this region, especially if we start trending in this region, that would be obviously bad as well. But you can see a very obvious support trend line coming in right around here at about the 41 marker. So you could use this as a very obvious way of kind of judging, okay, are we actually breaking something? Are we actually breaking the trend and doing something new? There's is what I'd be looking at right here. Of course, going to take its time as well. But more importantly, and what I really want to focus on right now is the 3-day. So the 3-day is quite important, right? We have the 3-day right here, which again, more or less just consolidation as it stands. But we're going to have a chance to actually do something that I think would be the initial etchings of a change of behavior as far as this is concerned. And that is we're going to have a chance to actually close below the 3-day 21 exponential moving average right here. The reason why, and you're probably putting 2 and 2 together now, and the reason why I wanted to upload this video is because I do think that it's possible with regards to how price action is so close to that moving average coming into this 3-day total close again in the next hour and in 8 minutes now that we might see a fight over this region. Bulls really do need to reclaim this region sooner rather than later. Bulls have the ball in their court. Bulls have to respond right now. Bears would like things close here or lower, anywhere below about 10,292 and a half on BitMexico is where that, this is BitMexico, would be below the 21 exponential moving average on the 3-day, and that to me would be a little bit more of a big deal. You'll probably reference this point right over here where we actually closed a 3-day total below. Now, yes, we did close below, but the first close below after a long time of kind of trending above, especially like a strong trend like this, it's usually going to get bought back on up. It's your classic trap area, but the second time to come back down and test this region, that's where things get a little bit more left of center. So I would say that if we do close below the 21 today, it would be certainly a little bit more on the concerning side and would be the first major thing that I kind of see myself as really wanting to pull back all my positions into neutral. Right now I'm positionless. I closed all my options positions from last night. I'm only waiting for this next move right here to kind of decide if I even want to play this move right now. But for right now, it's time to just watch as we come into the daily total close, which I'd imagine we're going to see a little bit of a fight over this region, for better or worse, of course. Anyways, looking at 3-day right here, while we are here, we do see 3-day Stokes looking like they want to cross the downside as well. Now, again, this is unconfirmed. They are actually not even crossing right now, so it would probably even take a little bit more than this, but I would imagine that any close here or lower by end of day, again, 1 hour and 6 minutes now, it's like we're just counting it down, we'll put a little bit more pressure on these babies. And then more importantly, we do see the 3-day jewel actually giving off a decent sell signal right here. It's not a super perfect one. It's not one that I go out of my way to look for. I'd much rather see this happen, like this whole portion happen in this territory right here. Those are the really fucking good ones. These ones, the more cavalier people will take them, and actually the creator of this of this indicator himself, like the guy who actually programmed it, he actually identifies this as a signal. I'm a little bit more neutral on these sorts of things, but it would certainly be on the more bearish side of things. Of course, we also do see 3-day RSI doing something interesting as well. So we can drastically change the reading of the current price action with probably the next 3 days of price action for like the medium time frame perspective. So usually when we're talking about medium time frame perspective, we're talking about $500 to $1,000 move most likely. Lower time frames below that, higher time frames above that, and then macro we're talking we're talking X's in some cases in cryptocurrency land. Anyways, the reason why I say that this is a big deal is because as of right now we are just oscillating between the bullish control zone and the neutral zone for the whole time since essentially May. And why is that important? Well, as long as we hold within this region, that would imply that this consolidation is a bullish consolidation. It would also imply, if we can confirm a local low here, which we have not done just yet, but it looks like it could be in the making, although it's still some work to do. We're going to go through the lower time frames to kind of decide exactly where you can denote this as a local low, like declare it as a local low. Then this would be considered actually some hidden bullish divergence, of course, which we do have RSI making about the same low or a little bit of a lower low, while in the overall context of this area right here as a little bit of a, not really. I think I'm kind of grasping out straws right there, but you could, it is in the overall context of of an uptrend on the macro here. So yes, that actually would work. I take that back, and we would actually confirm hidden bullish divergence, which would likely set us back up above 11,000, probably 11,500 to 12,000 bucks, over the next coming weeks. But for right now, Bitcoin again has not confirmed that. So let's go on. Let's now go into the lower time frames and see exactly what we're looking for to kind of confirm a local low being put in place here. And I'd say the biggest and most obvious is actually what we see on the 3-day. I mean, the 3-day is really going to count for a lot. But if we can close the 3-day total above the 21 exponential moving average, which is about 10,300. I mean, it's technically 10,292 and a half on Mexico. And check your exchange; it will be a little bit different there. Then if we close above, I'd say that that's probably going to be a pretty damn good signal, because if we go down to the the lower time frames, you're going to notice, and now we're going to really get into the probably the more actionable and valuable piece of a video like this, is you can see that this would obviously break this sort of resistance that we have going on right here at the 21 exponential moving average on the 4-hour dildo time frame, which also is going to line up with our historical, not necessarily super historical, but our nice little order block territory right here. Let me actually just get this out, and if we do break above this region right here, then this would start to certainly look like a local low, and I'd be looking for a move all the way up to probably like 10.5 or 10.6 in this blue box territory right here, in the shorter term time frame. So again, that's why things are quite dire right now, because if you are bullish, you do want to see this. You do want to see this fall through happen sooner rather than later. Now, would it be a death sentence for the 3-day dildo to close below the 21 exponential moving average? No, it wouldn't. The death sentence for me is the death sentence. Jesus Christ, man, it sounds so awful. But something that would be an obvious change of behavior, like something that is just undeniable and would likely be met with some powerful girthy red dildos, would be any sort of a daily dildo close, especially below the cyan 89 exponential moving average right here, which is about at 98.50 region, or a few bucks lower than that, we could say. And then if you want to be a little bit more conservative, I would say that this bottom territory right here, where this blue box that you can just barely see it at, let's actually zoom in on it, go to like a 4-hour perhaps, which is all the way down to around 9400 to 9500 region. If that gets violated, then I don't really think that you can look at this as any other way than like a clear breakdown, and we could start talking about downwards targets. At that point, we could look at the bigger picture as being resolved to the downside, and we'd likely see a measured move somewhere around the 200 moving average and blue 3/7 exponential moving average, which you see is all the way down here at about 72 to 7300. So it would be pretty damn nasty, if it does happen. And I've been getting a lot of questions, man, like Krown, do you think that you're too bullish, looking at this kind of stuff and basically having your opinions? Well, I mean, keep in mind that yesterday I was showing like only short positions, but more importantly, hey, as a trader, I'm more than happy to flip. It's just I need to see a change of behavior first, and we don't really have that. We have one massive symmetrical triangle, which typically is going to actually a little bit more likely to break in the former direction of the former trend, although it's certainly left of center there. It's maybe like 60% more likely to go in that direction rather than like a full-on bullish formation, which is going to have a much higher hit rate in that direction. So we do have a couple things going for the bulls right here. We have the macro trend to the upside. We have a symmetrical triangle, which is going to be a little bit more airing on the same side as that. And for now, we do have a series of higher lows here, and we also do have some lower highs as well. But in that case, you do when in doubt, go with the former trend. And I need to take another sip of this water, man. That ground beef today was too fucking salty, but damn, it tastes good. Oh, have those nice gulps down your face. There we go. Anyways, back onto the lower time frames here. And let's talk about the other side of this. Okay, so of course, for the bulls on the lower time frames, they need to retake about 10-250, 10-300, which does match with the 3-day 21 exponential moving average. They're going to be confluent with each other. Of course, the lower time frame is going to tell you sooner. The higher time frame is going to be more solidifying, if you want to call it that. And for right now, we are getting reject from this area, on these lower time frames, which I'm not sure how much weight I really put on. We do see, however, momentum also is starting to point back up. We do see 4-hour Stokes to the upside. We see 3-hour Stokes to the upside, and we see, well, that's actually powerfully erect right there. We got 2-hour Stokes to the upside, and I believe hourly are actually down. So I could be thinking that we have a slight pullback here, but it does look like that's kind of why I wanted to do this video as a recorded video, because it does look like bulls might give an actual attempt here. Anyways, with regards to that, the range that we spoke about from this morning's video is still very much intact until that until we actually get a break above this region right here or a break below this region right here. I don't really see resolution on that. Let's actually go to a 4-hour. And as you can see right here, if we do reject off this region, then it would likely line up with another pullback down to like the 9950-ish region, maybe even 9900 down around here. And then I'd be looking for the same sort of thing to be happening. But for right now, as long as we're kind of within these two bounds between about 10-250 as as an upper resistance on the lower time frames, and about let's call it 9850 horizontal support on the lower time frames to the downside, which is also confluent with the 89 exponential moving average on the daily, then I don't really have there's more or less not really too much to be done from a trading perspective. If you shorted this area right here for a scalp, I think that's fine. If we do take it out to the upside, though, I would certainly not want to be holding that, as I would be looking for a move at the very least to about 10.5, and then probably into this blue box here, which is basically 10.5. By the same token, if we do come back down, like I said, I think what's actually more likely here is, if we did come back down, we actually just start to dig in this area once again and get similar behavior to what we saw back in July, actually, of this year, just about a month ago, as Bitcoin gets stuck in the mud. And you see this a lot of time when Bitcoin kind of accumulates alongside areas. It gets stuck in the mud and it just goes side. It has like this very ugly price action, a lot of wicks both ways, and then eventually just pulls on through as you see all of your momentum also starts to line up with each other, and just a failure to break below the critical levels. Again, the critical level being this blue box territory right here at about 9,400. So that's the most conservative way of looking at a breakdown in resolution on the whole picture. A more aggressive way would be using the daily 89 exponential moving average. And then if you wanted to kind of like cut those two in half, I'd look at the 12-hour, and a 12-hour total close anywhere below this purple 200 exponential moving average, I would say is likely going to be met with some fierce red dildos, down, to the downside as well. And again, I forgot to talk about this, but if we do break to the downside, even though we do have a measure move point us all the way down to like 72 or 7,300, it's unlikely to be a straight line there. It's likely we're likely to have our bounces. I think areas of interest are going to be very obviously at about 8,800. Then you're going to have like the 8,500, 8,300 gap boys right around here. They'll probably get their vindication if we break to the downside. And then after that, then we can talk about a full on move. Meeting the whole expected moves. But for right now, this is all well and far away, just because, well, Bitcoin's quite literally holding in, and really, as a trader, you look at this as an opportunity. Every time that we come down and test this trend line right here, it's more of an opportunity than anything. And also, if we do line this up with a Fibonacci retracement, you can see that we are kind of hanging around the 618 Fibonacci retracement. So it's going to be very, 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 very important for the bulls to hold this on a daily total closing basis. And for right now, bulls are right there. And as long as we kind of have this structure, you can argue both sides. As a trader, you should be able to trade both sides. I'm just offering up the areas of action and pivot points that I'd be looking on to take trades. So again, with about 57 minutes left to go until the daily total close, I'm actually a little bit surprised to not see any real attempt here. It actually looks like Bitcoin wants to pop back down and fell at this range right here, maybe come back down to about 10,000 bucks in the lower time frames. But again, I'd give it a little bit more time. Sometimes you see these moves like right before the daily total close, like 20 to 30 minutes before, and you get some explosive stuff. By the way, Deribit basically introduced block trading, which, sorry, I should explain this. Block trading, which is essentially, what's the best way to explain this? The best way to explain this is to explain what's likely to happen, and that is that in traditional markets, when we had block trading, that just means that, like, at the end of the day, these massive fucking institutions would just throw down fucking blocks, just like insane amounts of contracts, volume, stocks, whatever, and you'd see insane moves like in the last 5 minutes of a day. So if you're ever wondering, when you're looking at traditional stock market, and you see like at the last 5 minutes or like the last 20 minutes where things will just kind of like V out from whatever prior direction it was, like if it was heading down and then like the last few ticks are just massively up, or vice versa, that's blocks being thrown right there. Anyways, with Bitcoin, with Deribit introducing block trading, I don't know, perhaps we do see some of that action in crypto. Anyways, for right now, looking to me like Bitcoin is more likely to actually come back down to the middle of this range, right around 10,000 bucks. It looks like. But still, no resolution on the range has been had just yet. Doesn't look like we're going to see an actual fight for the daily total close. Well, the daily total close will be fought over, but not over the area that I would be, that I'd have in mind. And with the 3-day close and below that area, it certainly does take a little bit of luster out of my own, optimism. But as a trader, you can't really have that anyways, man. You got to be neutral, you got to be agnostic, and that's the name of the game. So here, it does look to me like, it does look to me like very, 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 very low time frames. Probably want to daddy back off. Get the backed off, you daddy fuck. That makes no sense, but probably back to the middle of range and just get stuck in the mud here a little bit more. If Bitcoin does test this region down around here again, about 9,800 to 9,850, perhaps I'll try a scalp there. I don't think that we see that happen during this video, unfortunately. But again, all lower time frame oscillators actually kind of lining up for the kind of like drawstring of effects where they all get on the same side. But we still need to see a little bit more, a little bit more of a pullback. Hourly's going to take over for a sec as the other time frames kind of cool off. Anyways, let's go check out the 12-hour a little bit more. I do want to talk about this. So 12-hour and daily are both concerning to me. So I want to present a little bit more of the bearish side right now. And the 12-hour right here, we do see 12-hour Stokes headed to the downside. Why is this important? Well, the 12-hour Stokes have gone all these moves extremely well. I mean, that's there's you don't need any other reason other than that. The last cross the upside was during this area right here from about 9,500 all the way up to almost 11,000. The time before that was across the downside right here, coming off of this high at about 12,000 all the way down to 9,500, so $2,000 play, or a little bit more than that. And then the last cross the upside we had right on over here, that was this guy right here on the 28th of July, leading this whole party up. And then the last cross to the downside before that was right on over here. The last cross the upside was right here, and before that the last cross to the downside right here, and the last cross the upside right here. This is of course with my settings on the my special settings on the Stokes 1436, and you do see that Bitcoin is essentially respecting this pretty damn well. More importantly, we did just cross the downside, and we are crossing the downside, alongside what would be considered a pretty major support right now. While the 200 moving average is formidable, it is the 200 exponential moving average on the 12 hour that I put a lot more weight on. The order of operations would be highest, daily 89 exponential moving average, breakage of that, and I would call a resolution on the formation. 12 hour dildo closing below the 200 exponential moving average, which is about 97, is that, what is that, 9600, sorry, 9600. I'd say that's likely going to lead on to resolution, and then 4 hour dildo close below 9500 or 9400 would probably be good enough as well. So you can kind of see it through there on that dynamic. But right now, Bitcoin, is kind of making me a little bit apprehensive in this region. Now, by the same token, I can also argue the other side, right? If we can confirm this as a local low, and this is what this all hinges off of. If we can confirm this as a local low, there's a lot of things actually suggesting, some bullish coiling, if you want to call it that. I don't really have a word for it, but like a lot of bullish thing, a lot of bullish, what's the word that I'm looking for? There'd be a lot of bullish things kind of lined up with each other. And we talked about a few before, like the hidden bullish divergence on, I think it was the 3-day perhaps, if we have that played out, which again is not confirmed just yet. And then same thing on the 12 hour. We don't have hidden bullish divergence. We actually have potentially like regular bullish divergence between this point and this point. But if and only if we can confirm this as a local low, which we have not done just yet, in order to do that, we'd actually have to do the same thing on the 4 hour. So the 4 hour is really going to be the one to watch, because I think it's the lowest time frame that's going to be the most the lowest time frame that can be relied upon with actually taking out a major level that would change things and solidify a local low, if I can explain that correctly. And I would be looking at, again, this area right here. It's also the 4 hour 21 exponential moving average and the blue 3/7 exponential moving average. Technically, I'd want to see a close above, close above, an open and close above would be certainly significantly better. But first things first, right? It all starts with a close, baby. It all starts with a close. Every kiss begins with K, and every close begins with dildos, whatever the fuck. That makes little sense. Anyways, that's what I'd be watching right there. But for right now, at the, I was about to say maybe, do we have any? No, we do not have. I was going to say that maybe we have a potential hidden bearish divergence in the making. No, we do not. We did make a little bit of a slightly higher high here over this guy right here. So no, that would not be appropriate. So anyways, with regards to that, let's go check out CMEs. I realize that I'm already at 20 minutes. Fuck it. We need more. We need more, baby. And CMEs right here, looking around the same. In fact, CMEs are quite interesting to me right now. They actually just got freshly death crossed in the 4 hour. If we take all these babies off and just look at the 4 hour death cross moving averages, we can see right here. Well, I guess I have the 200 simple on as well. We can see right here that we had the green 50 cross the downside of the purple 200 very, very recently. And right now we are respecting the 21. So my rule is that whenever you have a death cross or a golden cross and you're riding the 21, you play that trend until we basically take out the 21. That's kind of like the actionable areas. So this would obviously be on the more bearish side. And I do believe that we've already seen CMEs close for the day, so let's see where they close. Yeah, CMEs closed below the 50, but they did close as a nice little hammer dildo. And do we have a potential local low in the making here? We do have a potential local low in the making here, but what would be needed from CME perspective in order to confirm this as a local low? Well, we need to trade above, at the very least, the high of this the prior daily dildo, which is going to be about 10,255. And we are kind of trading with parity right now, or around parity. It's about it's a few bucks off, but it's pretty damn close. But let's go to a lower time frame and see if we can find anything a little bit more actionable. And I'd actually greatly agree with that. We have a very obvious horizontal right here, green with the yellow 20 exponential moving average. As long as we're closing 4 hour dildos below there, I wouldn't consider this a local low. It looks to me right now that we're actually rejecting off it on the first pass, as you kind of would expect. Probably do come back down to the middle of the range, maybe like 10,000-ish region. It's very, very similar to spot charts as well, of course. Anyways, anyways, going over here to the daily, the reason why this is important, if we actually do confirm this as a local low, again, it's a downstream of effects. If we confirm this as a local low, then what happens? Well, then we have a little bit of then would we actually have hit bullish divergence? I believe we would actually have bullish divergence between this point and this point. But more importantly, what we would have, well, where did we close here? 10,185. We closed here 10,130. No, we would not. But what we would have interesting here is the daily Stokes would look like they're kind of in a posture to kind of cross the upside. But again, Bitcoin's actually selling off into the close right now. I think it's dropped about 50 to $60 since we started talking. So again, it's certainly not set in stone just yet. We got 48 minutes left until the daily total close, so I would be very agnostic coming into this. Anyways, back on to CMEs for a second. As did we talk about everything that I want to talk about? I mean, I think it's also relevant to to talk about this. Historical volatility percentile still falling off the cliff, and I do think that suggests that we're more or less going to be holding in this formation for a little bit more time. I don't really look for resolution on the whole again for perhaps another week or two. And what else do we have here? Maybe on the lower time frames, is there anything else to look at? 4 hours getting it 4 hours actually getting it pretty damn well. As long as we're below the 21, no local low can be called here, even on the most aggressive stance. And if we can close above the 21, and especially open and close above it, I do believe that we'd likely be looking at a local low here, and that's going to start to change on not just the daily Stokes on CMEs, but also spot. We have hidden bullish divergence on, I believe it was a 3-day, and then I think we saw regular bullish divergence on the 12-hour would all be confirmed. So there's a lot of things that would start to be working with each other, and then of course all the lower time frame oscillators would be in an upwards posturing. So those things would carry some weight. But remember, it's not confirmed until we actually have that. So this is a very critical time, and this area right here is actually damn critical for Bitcoin now to get back above. If if the bulls want to resume their case. Let me just make sure that my mic is working. Okay, it is working. Nice. Okay, great. Awesome. Anyways, go check out GBTC. And what's GBTC doing? Where are you, GBTC? There you are, you 1323 bastard. Do we see anything unique here? Looks to me like, again, are we seeing a local low here? Maybe. It's not confirmed yet. We need to get above this hump right around $13.50. So all of them kind of are in the same place right now. We're not getting any free trades in this region, unfortunately. Sometimes you can look amongst the Bitcoin corollaries and find and find something that's like an obvious leading indicator. But I'm not really seeing it right now. In fact, they're all pretty much literally parity with each other. Now, obviously, GBTC is not trading right now, but we popped back up. We filled the gap. Next move actually looks like it wants to come back down to me. We see 4-hour Stokes looking like one across the downside. In fact, they are across the downside. And we see daily. What's daily doing? Daily's interesting, actually. Daily's very interesting. We actually see daily Stokes wanted to cross the upside, and they will cross the upside as long as we open up tomorrow anywhere above about 10,000. I believe they will. So again, a very very bifurcated, in the overall analysis right now. But I just want to represent how agnostic I want to be. I'm ready to pounce on either side. Jeez, that sounds so fucking lame. Sorry. Sorry, man. I was so fucking hoping that we'd see one of those glorious moves coming into the daily total close, and I'd be able to actually trade it. And now it's like, the fuck, man? Bitcoin? Where'd all your volatility go? Well, of course, the volatility is contracting right now, right? And the volatility has been contracting ever since essentially here in late June. And again, on spot charts, we see it like massively contracting. It's got plenty of room to go. But remember, the more that it contracts, the more that it's likely to expand, as this is a mean reverting indicator. And when we talk about that, to put it in perspective, the last time that we had this, not this amount, but when we get like super low on something like historical volatility percentile, well, the last time that we had this was in 26th of March. This was like a one read. Well, what happened at that point in time? Explosion, bullish explosion, all the way to sky from $4,000 all the way to $14,000. So pretty damn impressive. And that's kind of what we're building up right here. Again, the last time that we actually saw a consolidation, even for this long, like you can look at this multiple ways, right? This one spending so much time going sideways within this region and tightening up this, the symmetrical triangle would suggest that we are building up a bigger cause, and a bigger cause leads up to a bigger effect. Well, not only that, we do see historical volatility percentile agreeing with that. So the last time that we really had something analogous to what we're doing right on over here was actually during December 2018 to March of 2019, right? During this area right here, during this consolidation, historical volatility percentile operating relatively similarly, and we do see that just the time spent in general was pretty damn similar. I mean, this was again December, so I guess that starts in January, February, March. So we had about 3 months. We've done about 2 months in this consolidation thus far. It's been June, July, and we're working on August right now, but not most of June. I think it's just like half of June, it looks like, or just the ending part of June. Anyways, you can see that all these things kind of matching up with each other, and the downstream of effects is going to be quite strong. Either which way that this one does break out. Again, a massive cause being built up is going to imply a pretty phenomenal effect. Okay, cool. So let me put back on all the major movement averages here. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, and what else do we want to look at? We looked at GBTC, we looked at CME. Let's look at Bitcoin dominance chart. Bitcoin dominance chart. I don't think I really had an opinion on it this morning. We came down to the 21. We spoke about that. How that was likely to happen yesterday. It happened. I do think that we probably bounce this region, but I remember yesterday it was very bizarre to see how this was operating because on a daily we were seeing completely different. Yeah, we're seeing it again. What the fuck? This is so strange. Sorry, I don't mean to get autistically raged out right now, but the high right on over here was about 70.5%. If we go down to a 4 hour, this was different this morning. Everyone here, we can verify this just by looking at this morning's video. This is completely different. And if I go to a 4 hour, look at this. It's a 71.5% read. This is so strange. Did we double top and we're actually going to go lower here? Probably does bounce first, but yeah, then lower. Probably does bounce first and then a little bit lower. Yeah. So yeah, short term alts probably pull back a little, like very short term alts probably pull back a little bit more medium to also kind of short term. I'd be looking for this to actually come down. So alts probably do rally. I think you're gonna see a lot of alts start to dig in a little bit here. Let's go check out our altcoin index on Cardano. And what do you see on Cardano? Yeah, exactly what you expect to see. We're taking out the 21 right now, and I do think that the next move likely brings us up somewhere in this region here at about 540 to 550ish region. And I'd imagine that most alts look in some variation of this. I mean, again. This is your traditional altcoin chart, right? Just fucking zoom it up and then throw it back down for the next year and a half while people are like, this has great technology. I'm invested. I'm DCAing. This is amazing. I read the white paper. It's a fucking sales letter, but you know what? Looks good to me. It's like, goddamn. So keep that in mind. But it does look to me like it actually does want to curl up here. And I think probably most alts look the same. Let's just maybe look at one more just to make sure. I'll pick a random one that I have up here. Maybe Mr. Buterol will be a good one. Very, very similar. Yeah, testing the 21, and I do think that we probably make a run towards the next level, maybe around 199, 198 region, something like that. Putting in a little bit of a symmetrical triangle down here as well. So there actually will be a measure move on this, and just kind of eyeballing it, probably put us somewhere in this region here, yeah, like not 0.02. So yeah, we do see confluences within the altcoin market, so they are kind of moving together. Anyways, let's go check out the total crapto market cap. What the fuck, man? I can't even say it. That was that was not intentional either. Looking at the weekly right here on total market cap, do we have anything of interest? I mean, not that the total market cap is even that interesting to me to begin with, because it's a very crude analysis, and we're including like a shit ton of little garbage coins within this. Of course, there's going to be some legitimate ones as well, but it's really like setting a massive net along the whole market, and we actually expect some. I would actually look at this as more healthy than what we've done on spot markets. You can see a test all the way down to the yellow 21 exponential moving average already. That's at about almost a quarter trillion right there. Oh man, that was so embarrassing the other day when I had that mix up between trillion and billion. Well, I'm not a great counter, man. That's why I have calculators. But yeah, it looks to me like we actually this would actually look a lot better to me that we're putting in a base on the 21 right here. But other than that, not really getting too much unique information off this one. Daily looks a little bit more healthy as well. Kind of putting in a nice little base on this horizontal support right here. It looked like we've come down and really tested this region quite thoroughly, and are doing something like this right now, right? Doing something like this, which would imply, likely a healthy consolidation. Nice little symmetrical triangle, and we probably get resolution somewhere here. Again, early September, middle of September. Anyways, go back to Bitcoin spot, and I want to look at a few other things which I do think kind of help round out this analysis. And so let's go look at the crypto fear and greed index first. This is crypto fear and greed index. Let's get rid of these guys. Trollinger band. Oh, Bali, you had to add the fucking Trollinger bands to this. I do think that it works with the crypto fear and greed index, but on price action right there, I'd rather keep that one clean when I'm looking at something like this. So first things first, this is the crypto fear and greed index represented in the in this panel down here. You can see that when we come to extremes, which we are certainly at extreme right now, anywhere below, anywhere in the teens, and right now we're literally at the lowest of the low. Those typically are pretty damn good pivots on the market. Pulling this back out, as you can see, we do, well, you actually can't see it all that well, but let me zoom it in maybe a little bit more. Yeah, now you can see it. Whenever we do come into this region, we typically do put in pretty major bounces, even during a bearish market, right? And you'd kind of expect this to be a little bit more lackluster during a bearish market, like getting very, very fearful, because you're naturally going to be more fearful. The last time that we saw that, essentially February, what was this? February 5th, February 6th, when Bitcoin went down to 6,000, we got down, put in perspective, we got down all the way to, what is this right here? Where's my reads? It's not showing them, motherfucker. I actually really want to know, just to see if we're actually lower than where we are right now. That was at about a 5, it looks like. So that's actually to put in perspective, that's actually where we are right now, in the current trajectory. But this was coming after literally about a 70% drawdown. Yeah, 70% drawdown right there. Then we had another foray into this region right here, which we actually do put in bullish divergence on this. It does seem to work. It does seem to operate in divergences, and also it also seems to respect the Trollinger bands as well. As you can see right here, it is actually kind of grabbing onto it. Although it doesn't necessarily operate in the same way that you expect Trollinger bands to operate as you would with price action, just straight up price action. Anyways, a few more examples, coming into this area right here. While it wasn't the best bounce, it was about $1,000 move, I believe. Then this guy right over, or sorry, we didn't even really get in this zone on this part, but we do have some bullish divergence in this region, and that kind of mounts this bounce all the way up for, what is it, about a couple $1,000? $3,000 right there. And then we have this guy right here. We actually don't get in that region, but we do put in some divergences right here. $1,500 move to the upside, and then after that we don't really get in there until December of 2018, right, when Bitcoin went all the way down to 3,100. Well, that was, yeah, the lowest that we got there was actually at about a 9 or 10 read right here, or I suppose we got a little bit lower right here. That was about an 8 read. Either which way that you look at it, these are very, very extreme points on an overall bearish market, which is going to naturally be a lot more fearful. Well, to put in perspective right now, Bitcoin has essentially quadrupled off the lows since what's called December, and on the crypto fear and greed index, people are more fearful than ever. In fact, we are literally at about a 4.5 to 5 read, which would quite literally be either the lowest or tied for lowest on the whole history of this, which we only have history for like the last year, which is not that helpful actually. But it does help put things in perspective, and also we are kind of testing the lower end of this Trollinger band right here. So I would say that this is, historically speaking, these are actually balanced areas. So we do kind of want to round that out, especially when Bitcoin's kind of putting in a little bit of a Jesus Christ dildo on the daily right now, which again, not confirmed as a local low just yet, but it does leave the potential for it. You also do see that the crypto fear and greed index is represented, let me explain this. I'm getting way ahead of myself. This purple histogram down here is representing the correlation coefficient between the crypto fear and greed index and also price action. You can see that they're extremely correlated, in fact. So the fact is that if we actually if we do expect to see this V bottom out of here, then I would imagine that price action follows through. So again, historically speaking, it's saying that it has a lot of validity is what I want to say. Anyways, going over here to the expected moves chart. Again, is this a new one? I think, yeah, this is a new one. A little bit more wide on this one, but you do see that the first day deviation has held us up on the lows right now. There's something very critical that implies. When you hold up off this, when you kind of range between the first day deviation, it implies consolidation within a range, right? You're not hitting extremes. You're hitting extremes when you do something, well, extreme. And how do you know that you're doing something extreme? Well, you trade outside of the least likely areas, which would be the second standard deviation, which is less than a 5% chance, or the third standard deviation, which is literally less than 1% chance. So operating in this region right now just implies more or less, par for the course, right? It's kind of just consolidation. But what that would imply is, what that would match up with is, first and foremost, our downside support. The bottom of this first standard deviation is, what the fuck's on my face? That's my face. God damn it. I hate my face. Motherfucker. Anyways, we do see the bottom of the first deviation matching up with the Cyan 89 exponential moving average, right? So that does add validity to it, and also, you know, did offer up a pretty damn nice buy this morning if you did catch that one. By the same token, we see the top side of the first deviation coming in right around where 10, right around where the daily, or sorry, not the daily, but the 3-day 21 exponential moving average would be at about 10,250 to 10,300. So this is still kind of like the gatekeeper for those upwards movements. As long as we're below this region, it's really difficult to look at this as a confirmed local low, at least in my opinion, especially on like a closing base. But overall, the general posturing of this within the greater whole would suggest that this is still, you know, one massive consolidation. And if this is one massive consolidation coming off of a prior uptrend in the formation of a symmetrical triangle, technically there's going to be a little bit more airing on the side, you know, of continuation. So back on a Bitcoin spot here, and I think it's time to start to wrap this video up. I think I'm about maybe like 35 minutes. That's okay. I think that's a little bit better. But overall, looks to me like Bitcoin wants to come back down to the middle, into the middle of this range. I think that Bitcoin is probably going to get stuck in the mud once again in this region. I would only get bearish for a resolution on the whole, looking for like perhaps major shorts, perhaps wrong terminology. Assuming that I'm actually fucking awake, which that's good luck with that, man. Hasn't had a good hit rate yet recently. But if I am awake and we actually do break below this region, whether it's on a daily delta close below the 89 exponential moving average or a 4-hour delta close or 4-hour delta close below about 94 to 9,500. I mean, shit, man, even if we come back down to 94 or 9,500, that's not going to look good. Technically, though, you want to see it officially broken, but Jesus Christ, even by coming back below there, you know, it might even be worth a starter position. Of course, not Financial Advisor, not Financial Advisor. Or if we do see the 12-hour takeout and close below the 200 exponential moving average right here, which is actually coming around the 942 Fibonacci retracement, if you put on this guy right here, which would really destroy the bullish case as well, then I consider resolution on the whole to the downside. But for right now, kind of still the time to be a little bit more agnostic as we're oscillating within this region. It looks like lower time frames want to come back down to about 10,000 to me, and then we'll play it by ear from there. Again, the lower time frames, major resistance right around 10,250 to 10,300, and more preliminary support right around here in the wick zone from about 9850. Also matching up with the daily 21. Sorry, not the daily 21, but the daily 89. terrible slip of tongue right there, and bring that kind of zone all the way down to like this 9750-ish base right here. So a nice little, and that's also going to be confluent with the 12-hour 200, right? So all those things going to be confluent with each other, and that's essentially how I'd kind of be looking at this price action right now. My personal opinion is that we probably do, you know, just bounce between this region, hold it within this region, and then actually work our way to the upside. But hey, man, you know, if this one breaks to the downside, I'm more than happy to take some shorts as well. With all that said, I think it might be time to wrap it up. I suppose, well, could we talk a little bit more? If we do break above 10,300 here, then yeah, I'd be looking for a move in this blue box territory, and then all the other things are going to take on over. And, you know, looking at the 3-day, I'd say it's quite likely that we work our way back up to, you know, 11,000 and beyond, you know, really work our way back up into this region here. But again, that's a little bit further down the road if that does happen. Right now, we have yet to confirm a local low here. Until that happens, you know, it's still pressure on, although we've seen this happen a lot of times where Bitcoin gets stuck in the mud. So again, I would, you know, I'd be patient in this region. I don't think it's a time to really FOMO into position, even if you want to be bullish, whether you want to be bullish or bearish, foaming into a position right here doesn't really seem like the right idea to me, because I don't think that we even break this, you know, like today or tomorrow or the next day. You know, as far as the whole picture goes, you know, as far as the shorter term picture, well, bulls kind of need to retake this sooner rather than later. Anyways, okay, cool. So with that said, I do want to wish you well. I always want to wish you the best on this nice little early Thursday evening. Unfortunately, no price action today, so that kind of ruined that. Would have been nice to have a nice little live Twitch stream. Jesus Christ, man, fucking wasted. Oh well, I'm working on the solution, so it should be, should be viable relatively soon. Anyways, take care and see you soon.